Hello and welcome back to a further breakdown of the podcast story lore. I hope you've got your flashlights handy because we're going to dive into the depths of Little Nightmares once again. So this episode we're going to focus on obsession, and we're going to focus on this mysterious figure. So first off, I'd like you to cast your mind back to Little Nightmares 1. You have the guests that were obsessed with the feast, you have the lady that was obsessed with her looks, and then 6 with her hunger. So in Little Nightmares 2, the viewers were captivated by the TV. Thin Man's relentless pursuit of Mono is a chilling testament to his obsession. And then we have Mono's own fixation that takes an eerie form of a haunting hallway. And in this episode, I am going to cover 2 new obsessions that are formulating. But first, I'm going to cover things that we're going to talk about today, and then I'll go over in detail about the depth of the lore implications. First obsession I'd like to point out is Dr. Otto's obsession with this mysterious figure that Noon is going to tell us about.
The candleman stood before me on the rooftop. He wore a long, filthy jacket. His presence, it reminded me of when the tide goes out.
An uncanny sense of déjà vu. For Noon has seemingly encountered my Cece's ferryman. I thought him lost forever. Yet, if true, he's somehow found a way back to where he began. And who is he? Some deranged bedlamite? A mutual dreaming savant? Invading the nightmares of innocence? It seems absurd. All I know for certain is that I must dig deeper.
So Noon recalls this mysterious figure which she calls the Candleman, and we know the Candleman as the Ferryman. If you remember back to the Little Nightmares comics, you saw him in the Tale of the North Wind with the 2 children. Okay, and now he has a startling resemblance to what his daughter Cece saw before going missing. I am going to refer to Cece as his daughter and not his wife because it fits more in with the theme of how things work here. So it would seem this ferryman controls the toing and froing from the world of the nowhere, and he has a really scary way of enticing his victims into the world of the nowhere. He actually offers children his hand so they can take it. He gently uses his powers of manipulation to lure them in. Wow, scary, right? I'd rather be chased by something personally. But I think, and this is a very important part, I think the ferryman, aka the Candleman, is the Zahir of the nowhere. Okay, before I explain why I think he's the Zahir, I'd like you to cast your minds back to episode 1 with Noon's first therapy session with Dr. Otto. So during this first meeting with Dr. Otto, she ends up asking about the painting on his wall. And Dr. Otto responds that it's called the Zahir's gaze. That's a very important point I'd like you to remember as well. He also mentions that to see it, you need to unfocus your eyes. So later into this session, she actually says to Dr. Otto she sees a tiger. She sees a tiger and 2 moons in the painting, but Dr. Otto responds with it, that isn't quite right. After recanting the entirety of her nightmare, she actually says she sees a map with stars and a circle around it. What Noon is actually seeing is what you call an astrolabe. And Dr. Otto explains that this instrument is used to locate things in time and space. Now remember the astrolabe. So we have the ferryman, aka the Candleman, the Zahir, and an astrolabe. Okay, so now we're going to put all 3 things together, but first I'm going to give you a bit of a history of the Zahir itself. The Zahir, it said, it makes victims see less of reality and more of the Zahir itself as time goes on, until that's the only thing left on their mind, obsession. So in history, it's parts of a religion, and it's actually this Zahir has actually presented itself as a tiger and an astrolabe in the past. Anything has the propensity to become the Zahir, but there will only be one Zahir at one time, as it can seduce multitudes.
His eyes are long slits, skin rough, sagging, like melting wax. He didn't speak, but somehow I knew. The Candleman wanted me to open myself to this place. Yes, he has for a while now. every night.
Every night.
Oh, I can see it all. A web. He's been with me this whole time. Watching. Observing. Waiting.
So I believe that the ferryman is the Zahir because he is actually making Noon see less of reality and more of the world of the nowhere. He actually is taking it step by step by step to that's all she sees and that's all she thinks about. And eventually she'll just end up in the world of the nowhere. And I think that's how he pulls his victims in. And also Dr. Otto has an obsession with the ferryman. So we have Dr. Otto's obsession with the ferryman. And then we have Noon's obsession with the nowhere. And actually, I had a theory in my previous video where the nowhere was a world fabricated by children to cope with all the negativity and all of what their abusers have put them through. I actually I've just debunked my own theory, and it's no more because the nowhere is a world in itself. The ferryman takes children from counties in the real world into the world of the nowhere. So this world is real. So I've just debunked my own theory from previous. This is amazing. It's only been 2 episodes in and we already have a menacing new antagonist in the form of the ferryman. I can't wait to pull apart the next episode of Little Nightmares podcast story. It is coming across that this is a very lore heavy podcast. I wonder if it will actually connect. This is the lead up. I wonder if this is the lead up into the game of Low and Alone. You never know. So keep your flashlights handy and let's dive into the depths of Little Nightmares once again. Matinee!